Hey guys, welcome to the channel. This is my 2024 BMW M2, and in this video I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on the 2026 BMW M2 CS that just got revealed about a week ago. So I know I'm a little late to the party, but today is like the only time I have the chance to make this video. So I want to kind of talk about it with you guys, go over some of the specs and stuff if you guys don't already know, compare it versus my M2, if I would be interested in a vehicle like this, you know, basically what I think about the whole package, you know, my thoughts on the pricing, my thoughts on, you know, what they did with it and everything like that. So let's go ahead and hop inside. Let's take my M2 for a spin and talk about this M2 CS. On a little side note, listen to this idle. Sounds pretty good, honestly. All right, guys, I got you set up on the POV hat. And before we get started here, I just took this car on a road trip to California. I live in Vegas, if you guys are new to my channel. Went to Southern California, and the car did absolutely fantastic. It got better gas mileage than what it was rated for, even though I was driving really fast. Better MPG than it was rated for. The car performed fantastic. It was very comfortable. The suspension, despite it being like an M suspension, was fairly comfortable as well on the highway. So this car did absolutely fantastic. The only downside is that the fuel tank is really small, so you do have to get gas pretty often. But the group of cars I was with was getting gas, it seemed like every like 100 miles anyway. So so that wasn't really a problem. But yeah, this car is amazing also on a road trip. But let's talk about this M2 CS. So I'm gonna go over a few of the specs of the M2 CS, and I'm gonna go over some things I like about it, some things I dislike about it, and if I will get one or try to get one. So first off, the M2 CS, they raised the horsepower. So now they're saying the S58 engine is making 523 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque, which is incredible. Up 50 horsepower from the current gen right now, because the current gen has 473 horsepower. Mine is the 2024 model, so mine has 453 horsepower. And then my torque is rated at 406, which again doesn't seem accurate. And then the 2025 M2 is rated at 443, and then the new M2 CS is rated at 479 torque. So the horsepower and torque numbers that they're saying that the M2 CS has is what the current gen 2025 and newer M3 and M4 X drives have. So it's the same horsepower and torque numbers. Now BMW is a little weird with the S58 engine, because this car here they say has 453 horsepower, but I've raced the 503 horsepower M4 competition model, and the cars are pretty much exactly the same. How's that possible? I don't know, man. And mine is actually pulling on him in some of the races. And by the way, you might be thinking, oh, well, the M2 is lighter, that's why. That's actually false. The M2 is actually, wow, that was crazy. The M2 is actually literally like 30 pounds lighter than an M4, or if anything, they weigh the same, because I raced a rear-wheel drive M4. So I don't know if BMW is actually being truthful with these numbers. I don't know. Obviously, this one, the 453 output version, is extremely underrated, but I don't know if the 523 horsepower version in the M2 CS is going to actually be 70 more horsepower than what I have and 50 more horsepower than the LCI M2. So I don't know, but if it's a true 70 horsepower more, then it'd be a freaking rocket. Because if this car had 70 more horsepower, that would be literally insane. But again, we don't know. Also, they're saying that it saved 97 pounds on the curb weight. That's incredible if that's actually true. Because they're saying that the curb weight is 3,770 pounds. But when I put my M2 on a CAT scale, it was 3,800 pounds even. So I don't know where they're coming up with that weight savings. Oh, actually, you know what? I just remembered. I have the carbon roof, which saves almost 50 pounds. So that explains, that explains some of it. Because mine is 3,800 pounds. I guess without the carbon roof, they'd be around like 3,840, 3,850. This M2 CS is 3,770. So it's still not quite 97 pounds, but it is some weight savings there. They didn't do the yellow DRLs, which is a little weird because that's kind of like an M2 CS, or I should say a CS trademark is the yellow DRLs. I personally don't like the yellow DRLs, so I'm completely fine with the white ones. But it is just kind of weird that they didn't do that. It's automatic only, which I don't care about. I know there's some purists out there that are like, oh, I want my manual. I personally think that it's foolish to get a manual. The only reason to get a manual, only reason, is just if you're one of those guys that's just hardcore, die hard, I just have to have a manual, then that's the only way it makes sense, right? It makes sense for that person that believes that. Because the auto is so good in this car. There's so much adjustability. It's so smooth. It's so fast. The paddles are good if you do want to do some manual shifting. So the auto just makes sense. So I actually don't mind that decision of them making it auto only. And guess what? If you want a manual, then just get the normal M2. The 25 M2 in 2026, I'm assuming, will still have a manual option. But you'll get less torque if you get the manual. 188 mile an hour top speed. I love that, because my M2 does not have the M drivers package. If it did, my top speed would be 177. But since mine doesn't have it, my top speed is 155. The M2 CS is going to have a 188 mile an hour top speed limiter. So I think that's fantastic. I love having high top speed limiters because every now and then you do want to get up to those speeds. I've hit the limiter a few times in this car, and it would be nice if I was able to go up even higher. So with the increased horsepower and the 188 mile an hour top speed, I love that. That's incredible. Obviously, if I tuned my car, then I'd have no limiter. But we're talking about stock versus stock cars. The new front lip that they put on it, I like that it has something underneath the front because it does look a little bald without anything underneath like the front. That's why a lot of people put like aftermarket splitters and stuff on it. I'm not really a huge fan of aftermarket front splitters. If it came from the factory that way, great, but I'm not really a fan of like adding it on after the fact. Although it does look good on M2s. I've seen some with aftermarket front splitters. It looks great. The M2 CS, however, is not really like a plastic front splitter. It looks like a rubberized, like a rubber, which is fine. It doesn't really look like that nice. But the good news is that if you go into like a really steep driveway or something like that, the rubber can bend and mold, whereas if it was like plastic, it would scratch or break off. So the new front lip is, I'm kind of like here nor there on that one. Carbon ceramic brakes are an $8,500 option, way too overpriced. I would not get that option, but it's cool that they have that option because again, on the non-CS M2, there is no carbon ceramic brake option. It's 0.2 inches lower to the ground, which I like because my car has a little bit of a wheel gap, or I should say a lot of bit of wheel gap from the factory. I think they do that for like regulation purposes in like Europe or something like that, but there's quite a bit of wheel gap from the factory, and it is nice having the factory have it lower to the ground instead of having to put like aftermarket springs or, you know, screwing around with the suspension that BMW worked hard to put together. Another thing, price point. $99,000, oh, a little BRZ, $99,775. That's a lot of freaking money. Again, I understand it's a special edition. The old M2 CS was kind of expensive too. It was like 84, 85 starting price. But man, that's really expensive for an M2. My assumption is that car will drive absolutely incredible. It's going to be a fantastic driving car, probably one of the best driving BMWs you can get. But it's really expensive for an M2 because it's still a 2 Series. Now, I love my M2 and I think it's worth every single bit of the 70,000 MSRP that mine had. But if it was 100,000, that's a little bit of a tough pill to swallow because at that point you could get an all-wheel drive M3 or M4. I personally am not really a huge M4 guy, but you can get an all-wheel drive M3, you know, that has like the 360 camera, you know, power trunk, some extra little luxuries and stuff, and the all-wheel drive for that price. But I understand it's not going to be as special, it might not hold value as well, so it's kind of like a trade-off. But I personally don't really see value spending $100,000 for an M2. You know, and that's if you even get it at MSRP right? This is probably gonna be a car dealers are gonna try to mark up, so you kind of have to factor that in as well. So I feel like the car is just a little too expensive. You know, they also tweaked like the traction control settings, the M differential, the chassis, they all tweaked all that stuff. So like I said, I think it's gonna drive incredible because I love the way mine drives. So that's probably gonna be just like mine, but even better, right? So I like that part about it. You know, there's a lot of things to like about it, but it's kind of expensive. Now let me talk about some things that I dislike about the M2 CS. Obviously price is number one, that's really expensive, but there's no armrest, right? So I have an armrest right here. I just told you guys at the beginning of the video, I took this on a road trip to Southern California. The armrest was nice. It felt good to have a place to put my arm. The M2 CS is just open right here, and it has like some, like, I don't know, like a pad right here that says CS. The pad looks cool, but there's no armrest. Not a fan of that because it's not gonna be comfortable to drive. Another thing is that it has an Alcantara steering wheel. This is personal to me. It's nothing wrong with the car, but I personally hate Alcantara steering wheels. They get crusty fast. You have to always keep up after it, and they feel nice when they're brand new, but that's about it. I love a nice smooth clean leather like what's on my steering wheel right now. This is this type of steering wheel that I love, right? I love this kind of steering wheel. Oh, let's make this light here. Oh, traction was like cutting everything on that one. See, that's the thing, they should have made it all-wheel drive. But anyway, bronze wheels. The wheel design, I'm not really a huge fan of multi-spoke. Like my wheels are also multi-spoke wheels because they're just a pain in the butt to clean. But bronze wheels, not really a fan of bronze wheels. Like I've never been a fan of bronze wheels. I know on some color combinations it can look okay, but bronze wheels, don't really like it. Suede steering wheel. So basically the M2 CS, even though it's super nice, it has a whole bunch of stuff that I personally don't really want on my M2. Oh, and the carbon buckets. The carbon buckets, they look incredible. They're really cool looking seats. I hate getting in and out of them. They're super annoying to get in and out of, and they're kind of uncomfortable when you're in them because they have this little portion in the middle of the seat where, like, I don't know, there's like a portion in the middle of the seat between your legs where it's very uncomfortable. And us guys, we don't want that. I would love to drive one. I'm sure it drives incredible, but there's a lot of things on it that I personally don't want. And if I'm spending $100,000 on an M2, it better have X-Drive and it better be exactly what I want, right? Not saying to not buy the M2 CS. Like I said, the M2 CS is probably going to be one of the best driving BMWs, for sure. But just not really what I'm looking for. So for now, just like when I made the video on the 25 updated M2, I'm still very happy with mine. I don't see any need to upgrade this car anytime soon. I only have 12,000 miles on it. It's doing fantastic, zero problems. It's been running great. The interior's been holding up fantastic, no signs of wear. Like the seats still look brand new. Obviously that's part because I take good care of my vehicles, but I still plan on keeping my car long term. If BMW comes out with the M2 all-wheel drive, then we have something to talk about. But with that being said, will I get it? The answer is no. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'm curious to see what you guys think of the M2 CS, and I will see you in the next one.